Hi, I'm Chantel Cohen, and I am continuing my series on modern love and dating. And I have my good friend and makeup artist who is amazing at makeup, Deanna.
Thank you.
And she's really been generous with me to just ask her some questions that she has no idea what I'm going to ask her. And we are just kind of chilling in my front yard, so you guys may hear some birds and may hear a car pass by. Any of that, please just ignore it, because we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about things that may be really, really important for you to hear. And so with that said, I'm going to ask my first question. Deanna,
Okay.
what do you want from a relationship?
Wow.
I know it is broad, and again, you guys, I'm hitting
Yeah.
her with these questions, and Deanna, I don't want you to worry about as much about what you have to say as much as like kind of what comes from your heart. Mm-hmm. And also, guys, I'd love to hear comments from you. I just want you to be respectful. Deanna is my guest, and so if you don't have anything respectful to say, don't leave a comment. But if you want to leave something that's insightful, that maybe you can relate to, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. So again, I'll go back to my question. What do you want from a relationship?
That's very broad. I'm going to answer off the top of my head, but the Gemini in me will probably text you tomorrow and be like, and another thing.
That's okay. You
can
text me tomorrow. That's okay.
And another thing. But when it comes to relationships and what you want in relationships, first of all, it's just about being on the same page and somebody that actually does want a relationship.
Being on the same page.
Yeah. Someone that actually deserves me.
Yes.
And my time, because, you can't get time back. But it's protection, leadership, like I said, it's all about I'm tongue tied.
No, that's okay. It's all about, I think what you're saying is, it's interesting. You said a couple really interesting things. Leadership. Mm-hmm. I don't often hear that. Protection, I've heard a lot. Wanting somebody who deserves my love, that and I understand that, because love is a sacred thing that you're giving to someone. And so you want somebody who, if you're going to give it, that they're going to catch it and really appreciate the value.
And understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
The love languages, I feel like one thing is really important is self-assurance, knowing who you are, accountability. It's a lot of character traits that go into it. And, do you even have the desire to be in a relationship when it comes to it? Because it's like, it's going to be work regardless, I could go on and on and on, providing. Because the things that I require are also things that I do for myself. And it's like the things that I say and require, like I said, I do for myself and I reciprocate for myself. So anything that I do require is not something that I cannot do.
So I think what you're saying is the things that you require from a relationship, a romantic relationship, are also things that you're willing to provide.
Yes. When you say provide, yes, from an emotional standpoint, from a supportive standpoint, yes.
Okay, tell me, because it sounds like there's a little bit of a caveat, and I want to make sure that I understand. You said yes, but there was a lot behind that yes.
Which part?
Well, leadership and provider. I'd be interested in learning more about that.
For instance, like, it's a lot of conversations going around as far as like a high value man or somebody that's like, is it important that your partner makes more than you? Or it's like, can you be the head of households? Like I said, I know who I am, what I'm working towards, and what I bring to the table as an individual. I'm always an asset, and that's not just being cocky, that's just being confident and growing and knowing who I am and standing in my truth. So it's like, do you deserve that? Am I answering the question? Because I'm all over the place.
No, you're not. You may feel that you're all over the place, but no, you're right on target. I think what you're saying is, one, about I'm willing to give to someone, and I want to make sure that when I give to someone that they really appreciate what I'm giving, but I'm also willing to do that for someone else. the part that I was really curious about, and it's really interesting to me because with modern love, and you guys, sorry I looked down for a second there, but I was really deep in thought. When I think about modern love, and the playbook has really changed. Women are, 35% of households are headed by women, and I say, meaning there are two people in the relationship, but those women are the providers, or they make more money, and we're going to see a real shift. You guys have heard me talk about this before, and what's interesting is I really get different things from different folks, and it's so individual. I'm a Gen Xer, and so for me, being head of household, I don't want that. I want someone who's kind of like right alongside with me. I don't care if they make less. I don't care if I make more. Sometimes he's going to make less. Sometimes I'm going to make more. It doesn't really matter. But what I hear, and I think this is very, very important to hear, is that it really is important for some women that I'm hearing that their man be a provider, that really matters to them. And remember, for those of you out there, we've got a plane going overhead, but for those of you out there, it's very different for everyone. And so I don't want to hear any sort of negative comments if that's not your truth. But I hear this often. Deanna's position, in all honesty, I hear it more than my position. And so I think what you're saying is, yeah, I want somebody who's head of family, and who does that. Provider means that I make a certain dollar amount. And does that mean that he makes more, or?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I hear that definitively. I hear that from so many women. It's it's fascinating to me because I don't know, it's so individual. I think with modern love, and that's what's important about this, is with modern love, people have their different standards. And I hear Deanna saying, you know what, this is important to me. I have a funny little story, and I promise I'm going to ask her more questions, is about 3 years ago, I was in Maine, and my son, who's now 21, he was sitting around with his friends, and they were talking about relationships. And at the time, they were 18 years old. And they were saying, yeah, it's really important that I make more money than the woman that I'm with. And I really challenged them and asked them why that was important. And please forgive my language, but I said, because you have a penis, you think you should make more. And they it kind of took them aback, but they were like, yes, yeah, that was their answer. And so I'll be honest with you guys, I hear that more, not than my particular stance. And so I don't know if that is a generational thing. I have no idea, but I also think it could be individual. And so any one of you who want to leave respectful comments, I would love to hear what you want in a relationship. Does it matter to you that the man makes more? And so it's really interesting. My second question was, who's supposed to be the breadwinner? But I'm not going to answer that. Okay. I'm not going to answer or ask you, excuse me. I'm not going to ask her that question. And so with that said, let me ask this. What is the biggest obstacle to dating today?
Finding someone you're equally yoked with. And I would say this. In my position, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of family. A lot of women in my life who are extremely successful and hold some there are some major bosses. And not just that, it's like, you are who you are around, you know what I'm saying? And just to piggyback on like the comment as far as it's important for my future spouse or whatever to make more money than me, it's like I said, I'm an asset, to reiterate that. And like I said, it's just an obstacle is definitely ego.
Oh,
that goes into that. Yeah, because a lot of people can't handle that.
That's a really outstanding answer. Ego.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one, and it's right on the money, because ego doesn't have us always acting from a rational place. And so ego would be a major obstacle to dating. And especially, I think, if I'm reading between the lines, Deanna, but it sounds like you're saying if somebody has a very big ego and you're bringing this to the table, and you're a career woman, you're well into your career, you know what you want, and if they can't see that, then that could be a major issue in the relationship.
Yeah, and a lot of men don't even want to date, women who can match what they're doing as far as success. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of men they reach a certain level of success and they're in a certain age range, and they tend to go back and date someone who was younger because that's better for their ego. Someone who is less successful than them, who hasn't gone beyond a certain level for ego reasons.
I see what you're saying.
But it ego is very broad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's very broad
ego,
indeed.
But it's an outstanding answer, because I can see how it is broad, but if you start to really look at it, it kind of permeates everything. It's kind of like the turd in the punch bowl. It's the punch is no longer good at that point. And so it makes sense to me when you're talking about ego can be a real killer in the relationship. And so I think what you're saying is that someone who's struggling with their own self-worth, because that's when the ego kind of takes over.
Yeah.
And they may go to someone that they see as less than or less equally yoked, as you said, because that makes them feel more powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, and manipulation comes into play. And then ego is such an onion that you could peel back the layers with so many things. Right. Because it's not even just with that. There are some men who, like, their ego, they have reached a certain level, and then their ego feels some type of way even about, like when women have like the standard of, taking care of me if I'm dating you. It's like they want to protect what they have, and it's like that's another layer of the onion of ego. It goes so deep, you know what I'm saying?
It does.
And it's like a lot of it also goes to a lack of healing that a lot of these men have, and it's just so, like, a lot of things are so ego driven because there is like a lack of foundation of self. Like I said, it goes super deep.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why it's such a major obstacle, and so many things come into play with it, because like narcissism stems from ego as well. That all goes hand in hand. And there are so many bad relationships, and anybody that has survived a narcissist knows that's all part of the layer of the onion as well.
It's really, I keep using the word outstanding, but it is a great answer. I have not heard that one, and yet I know it as a therapist. And so having someone who doesn't know themselves, having an ego, and they're acting from a place of ego rather than a place of love and commitment and understanding and growth, the ego is the thing that constricts all of that.